asked many times about how to help my pupils calibrate distances and where to set the poles out to be able to help train a level canter and the right stride length for distances for jumping around a show jumping course. So we've been very lucky, and John Ledingham has made me write on the wall here on the edge of the school 20 metres, which actually walks 22 paces. So that's great because I know that will then be a 5-stride distances for horses. So what that means is we've actually then going to go on to having some canter poles rather than jumps at that distances. So we use poles and practice in the school as a sort of daily practice to be able to make sure that I walk the right distance, which I'm going to demonstrate in a minute, and the need to be able to get your 5 strides comfortably within those 2 rails on the floor. I use 22 yards rather than 24 because we have, with rails, we have 1 for takeoff and 1 for landing rather than 2 for takeoff and 2 for landing. And I'm going to chat a little bit as well about how to, whether you count in 4s or whether you count in whole numbers. But for now, I'm just going to show you, we've got a 20 metre mark here, and it means every time I build a course, I just check that I've got the right distances. So this should equal 22. So I'll just demonstrate for you. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And there's another 20 metre sign here on the edge. And the need to practice this correctly is because when you're building yourself your courses to practice at home, then if you build the wrong distance, then either you're going to find it too long or you might find it too short. And really it's about trying to find the right stride length for your horse and making sure you ride the correct amount of power, speed, straightness, etc. to get the right distance. So it really helps that I know that I've set my distance here with these poles, and I know what a 5-stride distance should feel like. So when I go into a course with each horse, because they feel slightly different, you know, one horse needs more stride length, one horse needs less stride length. I know exactly the canter I need, how it feels, the power, how the contact should feel, and the amount of energy it needs to be able to get from my distances on an accurate distance and get up on a level canter. So we've chosen to have 5 strides here, but to be honest, you can have whatever distance you like. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever works. And it's just we have this, you know, we've got the luxury of having a big school, and sometimes I use a much longer distance because actually sometimes over a longer way it's easier to lose the stride length or the straightness a little bit more. My aim is to ride really a longer line than these 2 poles, so quite often you'll see I'll be looking for something longer than the second pole to make sure I'm absolutely straight, because straightness really affects your distance. If you start to go crooked, then of course the distance becomes longer, and then of course you have to get quicker to be able to get the distance. So straightness to me is one of the really important factors here. So to help those that walk in 4s, I'll walk this now, and it's exactly the same distance, it's 20 metres that we've measured along the edge. We go 1 for the landing, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 stride, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 stride, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 stride, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 stride, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stride, and then the 1 for takeoff. What we can then do, once we've got the 5 strides, you're happy with the distance there, that you're able to, you know exactly what canter you need to be able to achieve the level 5 strides. Then we start to, and I like to be able to help either young horses or some of my pupils to take the worry about accuracy away from them. So I tend to put these poles down before fences. So for example here, I've put it 3 strides away. Now what that means is people are able to concentrate more on, say, their straightness, their position. Of course it depends where they take off for the pole. If they're very close and they land further in, then the distance will be shorter. Vice versa, if they end up meeting the pole a bit further off, then of course the distance then becomes longer because they then land shorter to, you know, the other side. But what it really starts to do is highlight, okay, they can start to work out, well, why am I not sometimes that accurate to the fence? Is it because I'm very crooked? Is it because I'm going too quickly? Or is it because my position perhaps is not quite right and the horse is managing to pull them forwards or something? So it's really good to be able just to sort of eliminate the worry about being so accurate and actually start to be able to read distances easier. I've done this at 3 strides, and I'll walk this. So we have the 1 for landing, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 stride, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 strides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 strides, and then 1, 2 because of the takeoff distance. But we can start to make this much longer, so I can do it 4 strides, 5 strides, 6 strides, 7 strides. And what that then does is start to be able to make people be able to ride a really regular canter from a long, long way back. And then suddenly we start to be able to ride around a course, and we can put poles around for the fences around courses. And it just takes the worry about the rhythm out of it, because it's just practicing over these poles and then simply adding the fence in.